Okay, this is Luke Calvert, and we are debriefing from observation. I was looking for purposeful questioning. How do you think the lesson went?
It went pretty good. I like the interaction with the students was good. Normally, that eighth period class, sometimes they're not really engaged, but today they seemed like they were all about it. So I thought it went okay.
Okay, so you were looking at engagement and the interactions. What specifically made you think that it went well with the engagement? How do you know that they were engaged?
Eye contact. They
With
were
you or with each other or what?
with me, with answers. A lot of them were just spitting out answers, which is a good and bad thing. But at least they were trying to participate, and there was kids participating that don't normally participate. So
Okay. What did you do differently that made them participate?
I don't know. Maybe they just like space or they're interested in space. I know I had a couple at the beginning of the years of the little whatever. It was get to know them. They mentioned space. So and one of the kids that spoke up, that was on his paper. So
Okay.
that might be
So
something.
making it relevant and really getting their interest. Okay. So anything that how we planned on asking purposeful questioning and making sure that we are purposeful with the specific question we ask. Now you're in a different situation because of the vertical alignment, and not everything you teach is tested. So, and we know that this one specifically isn't tested. So, how has that impacted you coming up with purposeful questioning?
Well, I don't know, really, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Um, I really look at the IFD and try to see what main points they hit there, and that's how I try to develop the questions. And we really try to hit those points hard
Yeah.
because that's obviously what the resource system is wanting them to get out of it. So I try to stay along those guidelines and then maybe elaborate a little bit here and there. And the kids always come up with questions on their own.
Yeah.
Like a couple of them asked, like, what is it like to take a shower in space and all that.
Yeah.
So when I showed the videos, I Googled, or after we showed the ones about food and stuff like that, just how they shower, and they don't really shower. They just like wash off. So
Yeah.
it's like a camping shower, basically.
Yeah. So you're looking at the specificity specifically and getting your questions from that. Usually, in this case, you let the kids drive. What was your questions?
Yeah.
So you were going over your warm up a lot, which is good because your warm up should reflect your objective. And I think that they were very engaged during that. And one thing that I wrote down for a grow here would be to utilize your word wall, because that was all vocabulary that you were going over. And you have the word wall up finally. And so we have that going.
That was 2 units in a row. What are you talking about? 2 units in a row.
But how do you think you can incorporate the word wall?
Maybe just by like pointing to the words, or I really don't know how to use the word wall that much. So I guess that's something.
Okay, so I could pull some strategies for you for the word wall, using it actually instead of it just being for the man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you want to stay mindful of, especially when it comes to purposeful questioning, maybe word wall, whatever the case may be? What do you want to stay mindful of planning from here on?
Really using those like scientific jargon or dialogue, really, and I don't know, hammering those like word walls, the words that we on the word wall home, because we've noticed in some of the data that vocabulary is a huge issue.
Okay. So you want to use the science discourse and make sure that you're speaking science and they're speaking science all together.
So when they see these questions or
Yeah.
words on a test, they're like, not,
I don't know what this means.
well,
I
I
can't
might
even
have
break it
seen
down.
this, but I don't know.
Okay. So making sure you focus on vocabulary and actually understanding the vocabulary rather than
comprehension, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So how are you going to maintain focus? How are you going to make sure that you're staying mindful of the vocabulary?
So writing down a purposeful question on a note card.
For you or for them?
For me.
Okay.
And then I thought about like on Mondays, they want us to spiral and stuff.
Right.
So maybe having like a matching deal or some kind of way
Okay.
to incorporate the word wall into that little quiz or
Like a
intervention.
card sort
Yeah.
or some type of journal
I know they don't
activity?
like card sorts, but it is what it is. We all have to do stuff we don't
So
like.
you're really good at making something that was typically boring into something exciting like Duck Duck Doom, and I mean that's a gallery walk,
Right.
but it was just the title. So I would play off your strengths on that. Like maybe they hate card sort. Maybe let's figure out a way to make it fun.
I thought about trying to do word wall bingo, but
Okay.
like actually getting that on paper is something like word wall bingo sounds good, but like actually doing it, I don't. It's kind
Right,
of
okay.
hard for me to get there.
Okay.
So maybe
Why don't you Google?
okay.
I mean, Google vocabulary bingo, word wall bingo. I mean, I know your wife does a lot with the websites and stuff like that. So pull her as a resource for sure. Okay. So how are you going to incorporate all of this into your thinking whenever you start working on what is your next unit? Biodiversity.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'm
So
not. I'm not 100%
I
sure.
think I think it's biodiversity. I'm looking over there. In Succession. Have you gone over Succession?
I can. Let me pull up my lead forward app and I'll tell you. Snapshot. Organisms in the environment.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're going into biodiversity in Succession 710 A, B, and C.
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking at? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So whenever that's a big unit, and that is a vertical piece that they do need to master. So maintaining focus on your word wall, on vocabulary, on purposeful questioning kind of seems like your big focus, and I think it's your T-test goals as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so keeping that in mind and you're thinking forward, where are you going to start with your next unit?
That's a good question. I don't know. I like to start with vocabulary and just introduce it to them, and then really, like, once we get to it, kind of hammer it home. And, like, using it as a warm up, it's easier for me to explain. Like, we broke down microgravity today, and I tried to underline
Yeah.
micro
Right.
to meaning small. So,
Right.
help them be able to decipher words just by little parts of, like, prefixes and suffixes.
Okay.
Stuff.
Okay, so introducing and then going in depth each day on a different. Are you doing a different time of day? How many do you plan on doing?
I don't know, and I had to
today?
look at the stuff that we went over in the training the other day
Yeah.
at the elementary, and I was going to try to do some of that as
Okay.
well, like the FREIR model
Yeah.
and
Okay.
the
I would,
paragraph.
if I
deal.
can, I would suggest not overloading each day. Like today, you covered
Right,
microgravity. Great.
Yeah,
And
just
you
like
didn't,
one or
you
two a
didn't,
day.
yeah, one or two, because it's better for them to master 5 words rather than barely know 10 words.
Right.
So I like that. All right. Well, good job. You're on the right track, and I'm going to point out you're a first-year teacher, and you're way ahead of a lot of others. So that's exciting. I'm glad to have you on our team.
All right, well, I'm trying, so.